Brand new trend. 4.0 is men elevating men. 4.0 is setting a new trend. 4.0, 4.0, 4.0. 4.0, 4.0, 4.0. 4.0, 4.0, 4.0. 4.0, 4.0, let's go. 4.0, let them hoes in it go.
Let's keep it real. We both still young, so what's the rush? The night is young and we not drunk enough. You'll come around if I don't do too much. We had our downs, but we had way more ups. Let's make love. That be the reason that you always hit me up. Swear, you like the way I feel, cause I get rough. You told me your new man don't make you nut. I said, damn shame. You come here, I knock your pussy out the damn frame. Remember that last time I made you miss your damn thing? Remember that last time I wet you down with champagne? Remember that? And I know I've been the worst, but I love you better if you let me. Let's catch a flight, change the weather, and I promise forever. Oh my mind, you know how you feel, you know how you feel. Let's keep it real. If only I could pay the bills with my love for you. We'd be the richest in the fucking room. Hey, we'd be so comfortable. Girl, it's only you for me. No lie. I'm traveling, they offered, and I knew I want them to be. That's not an offer to me. If you're around, baby, when you ain't with me, it's all alone. And I was wondering if you always know. It don't have to be perfect. I feel like it's worth it. I know now that I've been the worst, but I love you better if you let me. Let's catch a flight, change the weather, and I promise forever. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, you know how you feel, you know how you feel. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Let's keep it real.
Mic check, mic check. How's everybody doing this morning? Let me know how my audio is, everybody out there. Coming in loud and clear. Another day, another live. Another, I don't know what's going on in California. I don't know what's going on in the country. But something is going on, and we're going to be covering it. We've been covering it so far. I've had several shows talking about the violence in America. We got 2 mass shootings in less than 3 days. If you take a look at both in separate reporting, one is 7, rest in peace to those passed away and those family members. And the first one is 11. That's 17 people altogether. In 3 days in California, salute, no guarantee. Thank you for that audio check. 17 people, rest in peace. Now, we're not talking about like the typical news that you hear about people that may be gang members. And in both circumstances, this is an Asian American community. I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area. We would go to Half Moon Bay to get pumpkins. Have you ever heard of Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, Highway 1? It's a gorgeous drive. Individuals in the San Francisco Bay Area, you take that drive. If you visit the Bay Area, people ask where you should go. This is one of the destination places that you have in the Bay Area. You have white sand beaches in Half Moon Bay. It's a gorgeous environment. We would go out there to the pumpkin patch, and they would have the world's biggest pumpkin, and it would be like 600 pounds. I have fond memories of my late mother going to Half Moon Bay because it was a very special occasion to drive to Half Moon Bay, to take the drive up Pacific Coast Highway 1, and experience these things. And now you have this tragedy, and it's kind of sad is not the word. Sad is not a good word, but I think we'll start there. So Half Moon Bay. Now another thing that I'm just painting a picture for my, because I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. Yesterday we talked about a young man from Sacramento. I currently live in Sacramento. That's why I say I've been talking about mental health. I've been talking about mental health every day. Mental health, mental health. The young man from Sacramento went to Memphis, lost his life. You could say perfect. That's not a mass shooting, but it can be considered a mass murder because five individuals took part in his death. Five men took why he was Crohn's disease, 80 pounds soaking wet. It didn't take five men. It wouldn't take one man to take his life, but five men participated. How is that different than seven people losing their life if you look at the math of what's going on with mental health in America? So a brother from Sacramento loses his life to five men, five police officers, mind you. Now, at the same time in California, Bay Area, Half Moon Bay, two separate mass shootings were in total. No, I'm sorry, my math is off. I said 7 and 11, and I said 17. And 7 and 11 is 18. I apologize. It's tough to do some of these stories. Everybody think it's all easy to be a YouTuber and a content creator. Like, people shy away from certain stories because it's not easy to bring the stories out. I apologize. 7 to the families and the victims. 7 and 11, that's 18. Rest in peace to those individuals, and blessings and prayers to the family members. Let's say a prayer. God is great. God, thank you for this opportunity once again. Thank you for this microphone. Thank you for life. Sometimes I know people hear my prayer, Father God, and I've said, I do not require anything. So it is very humbly that I come to you with eyes closed and head bowed. I don't know if people heard people pray before that know how to pray, but my grandmother taught me how to pray, Father God. So when I say I don't need anything, this is what I mean by 18 people, Father, not being here. I've been blessed, Father God, my family, my children. I love you, God, for everything you blessed me with. I don't need or require anything. You've given me great talents in life. Father God, is with great humble reverence that I come to you to pray that you intercede into this podcast and bless this podcast and bless the words that come out of my mouth and let them be a blessing unto those who hear them. I pray a covering on those of my listeners and supporters, those who are ship shaped, Father God. I pray a covering over your people, my people, those who are ship shaped, Father God. And I pray for the growth and blessing of this word and podcast. I ask all these blessings in your name. Bless those individuals who lost their life in these tragedies and their families, Father God. Prayer covering over them at this time. We ask all this, intercede in their life, Father, in your name. Amen. 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 It's a cold game, man. It's a cold game, man. Um, 7 plus 11 is 18. 7 plus 11 is 18. So I got that wrong. And they said one injured. These is an Asian community. I grew up with these Asian families. It hurt me a lot with the Asian hate crime bill because I have family members who are Asian. I have best friends who are Asian. So we live together, we grow together, we go to the same schools, we eat the same food. So it's family to us. In the Bay Area, you might meet somebody who you may consider Asian and they sound what you consider black, but to us, it's just a Bay Area way of speaking. We all sound the same. It doesn't matter what race you are in the Bay Area. This person could be married to this person. We have so many beautiful children because you have Asian people, traditionally Asian people marrying Hispanic people marrying black people. That's how you got all these beautiful children like the DeBarge family and like A. Marie and all these beautiful mixes. What's the baby girl who's singing right now? That was dating Party Next Door. All these beautiful blends out of the Bay Area because to us, it's all family. It's all family. So it hurts a lot, man. It hurts a lot to present this story today. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I know everybody like to hear the video, and some people, not to hold you, some people may not have heard about what has taken place, right? So let me bring up what I got here. It's a lot going on right now. Well, I want to hold on to that. So okay, since I'm gonna move in the way God is presenting me to move. I'm gonna move in the way God is, and then we're gonna move from there. I have this story up, and I'm gonna go after this story. We're gonna go we're gonna go over both stories. This is a synopsis uh, of both shootings. Now you're gonna have to read. You're gonna have to read so that, but that's okay because we could talk about it together. Okay. With this version video, we'll be able to stay talking to each other, okay? So I'm gonna turn the volume off and then we could play it. Turn it down. I'll turn the volume down. Y'all tell me if the audio is cool with me in the background. At least 7 people were killed across 2 locations in mass shooting near the city of Half Moon Bay. The state's largest mass shooting just 3 days after 11 people were gunned down at a dance studio in Monterey Park. We talked about that. Police found 4 people dead, 1 person injured by gunshot wounds at a farm on the outskirts of Half Moon Bay. After receiving reports of the shooting at 2:30 p.m. local time, San Mateo County Sheriff, a short while later, further 3 people were found dead with gunshot wounds at a nearby location. So you got 2 locations where people were dead. How am I doing on my audio? Audio is good. Thank you, Tracy. Shout out to my sister Tracy. Shout out to No Guarantees. Thank you for everybody watching. Make sure y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep the video going. The injured victim was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Corpus added. 7 dead, 1 injured so far. The suspect shooter, identified as a 65-year-old Chun-Li Zhao, was arrested by police after being discovered in his vehicle. So this is the most recent one, 67-year-old, which was located in the parking lot of the sheriff's substation in Half Moon Bay. So basically, he was turning himself in after doing the murder. A semi-automatic handgun was discovered in Zhao's vehicle, and he's believed to have acted alone, the sheriff said. Check this out. The governor, Gavin Newsom, has made renewed calls for strict gun laws in Saturday's mass shooting, tweeted, "At the hospital meeting with victims of mass shooting when I get pulled away to be briefed about another shooting, this time in Half Moon Bay, tragedy upon tragedy." So the governor was in the hospital when he learned about the other shooting with victims from the other shooting. CBS's stronger gun legislation is needed by Newsom. Again, the Democrats, the liberals do not waste an opportunity to talk about their talking points. The Half Moon Bay shooting comes just after 2 days after a gunman opened fire at a dance studio in the Los Angeles suburb of Monterey Park. Killing 11 people and injuring 9. So 18 people dead and almost 10 people injured. The suspected shooter, identified as a 72-year-old, let me see. Identified as a 72-year-old who can Tran, then entered another dance studio in the neighboring city of Alhambra. But fled after two people at the location disarmed him. Police eventually located Tran in the nearby city of Torrance, sitting in a white van linked to the shooting. The suspected shooter fatally shot himself inside the vehicle before he could be apprehended by law enforcement. Authorities have still not established a motive for the Monterey Park massacre. One of the guns used in that shooting was identified as a magazine-fed semi-automatic assault pistol with an extended large capacity magazine, which is likely illegal to own under California's extension gun laws. 2,795, that is the total number of people killed by guns across the U.S. so far in 2023. And unintentional deaths and other causes according to the gun violence. Almost 3,000 people so far in 2023. These include 39 mass shootings, which the GVA defines as incidents where 4 or more people are killed, injured. The Monterey Park tragedy is the deadliest mass shooting of the year so far. Wow. Wow. So that's where we starting off. And now I'm gonna bring up video. You guys can ask me questions in the chat. I'm gonna bring up video from both shootings. They actually have a live press conference right now. We could go live to the press conference. I like giving the background. I think I want to give more background before we go live to the press conference. Yeah, because they woofing. This ain't the real. It's, okay, let's see what we got here. All right, let's see what we got here. How's everybody doing? I'm gonna put a link in the chat, and anybody want to come up and discuss. Anybody might be from the Bay Area, from Half Moon Bay. Y'all might want to discuss what's going on. Y'all might relate to how I feel.
Releasing a statement saying he was a devout Catholic and a loving son, brother, father, grandfather, and uncle. He loved ballroom dancing and his community, a community that gathered here last night at City Hall to pay their respects and support the victims and their families as we continue to learn more. The LA County Coroner's Office releasing the names of additional victims. They include 57-year-old Ji-Wan Yu, 63-year-old Leland Lee, while family and friends spoke about 2 others, a beloved dance instructor at Star Dance Studio, Mingwei Ma, known as Mr. Ma, who witnesses say rushed toward the gunman, and 65-year-old Mei Mei Nan, who authorities say was shot in her car before the gunman opened fire inside.
She was with a dance partner in her vehicle, ready to leave, and she unfortunately did not see the shooter who shot from her window.
He was extremely respected, very beloved, very caring teacher, instructor, extremely kind human being.
Also identified by family members Nancy Liu, whose daughter posted this photo on social media of her father, who was also shot at that dance studio, still being treated this morning. She wrote in part, "My mom is gone. She never made it out of the dance studio." And we're hearing more stories of the victims who passed here as a result of this mass shooting. We can tell you that flags are flying at half-staff here outside City Hall, and the city plans to host a second vigil this evening at 5:30. Reporting live at Monterey Park. Back to you.
All right, Mario, thank you.
And detectives are developing a more comprehensive picture of the 72-year-old gunman, but they're still baffled by the why. Gigi has the latest on the investigation. Gigi.
That's right. And while the focus is on the victims, as it should be, police continue their parallel investigation into the mass shooting here at the Star Dance Studio, where today you can see that growing memorial with messages of condolence. This as the investigation into the why continues.
What drove a madman to do this, we don't know. But we intend to find out.
Trying to make sense of the senseless and understand the mind of a madman, as LA County Sheriff Luna calls the man behind the mass shooting. Today, homicide detectives, together with forensic specialists, will continue to delve into the life and death of 72-year-old Hu Chan Tran, a killer who destroyed families and left a community heartbroken. Chan say detectives no stranger to weapons. He was arrested in the 1990s for the unlawful possession of a firearm, and police say they have now found evidence he was making silencers inside his mobile home in Hemet. And surveillance video from his encounter at that other dance studio in Alhambra, where he was disarmed, shows the gun that police say just moments earlier he used to kill 11 people in Monterey Park. And it did have a silencer on it, presumably made by him. Now, the silencer, the suppressors, are designed to muffle the sound of gunfire. And many witnesses here at the Star Dance.
So we're gonna have a discussion today. We need to have a discussion today, and y'all heard that, and I want to unpack a couple things with extreme sensitivity and reverence for what's happened. 18 individuals have lost their lives, rest in peace, and 10 people injured severely. So we talking about 30 people in 3 days. But both individuals were from the Asian community, and both of them were past the age of 65 years old. Two elderly individuals, right? So, and then this individual was 67 years old, and he made silencers. The gun he used had a silencer that he made. The other individual in Half Moon Bay was 70 years old. So there's some things we've been talking about, the violence and the gangs. And I don't know if you saw in Stockton, California last year, there was a RICO. We talk about all this stuff with YSL, but there was a RICO case in Stockton, California last year, where it was a lot of similar, the profiles were similar. I'll say it like that to be sensitive. Where the profiles were similar to the profiles in this case, and it was about 40, 50 individuals arrested. It was a marijuana drug ring. And people might be surprised by the individuals who were the heads. And it was tied back to some murders in Stockton and Sacramento, but it was about 40, 50 people arrested. So now you have these two shootings with two elderly Asian gentlemen. That's how we need to factor that in. That these are two elderly Asian gentlemen who went out and committed mass murder, and did one of them took his life at the end. So it was, he knew what he was doing. He went so to do so. The other one turned himself in to the sheriff. And kind of the stories don't really reflect what truly happened, because it's almost very difficult to talk about, because it's not truly 18 people who have lost their life. It's over 30 people who have been injured, and countless family members. When my little cousin was murdered, it's a family of 1,000 people at the funeral that was affected. It was just a murder here. They took the body through the whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is affected. So imagine 30 individuals. How much people are affected by this? And the fact that it was elderly baby boomers. I talked to you about the baby boomers. What's going on with the baby boomers? Now I said that the demographic guy said this year the baby boomers will retire. We got somebody 67 and 70 years old, both baby boomers. This will be the largest retirement population ever in America. What else did he say? This was a white man talking about the baby boomers. He said the baby boomers have been the largest consumers ever in history. Since like Egypt and Rome, they have consumed more than anybody else on the planet. That's why my generation and the generations under me don't have shit, because the baby boomers still got jobs. The baby boomers have the job that me and Tracy should have and that my son should have. And the baby boomer did not promote me and Tracy, and they did not give us raises. In his demographic study, he said that the generation under the baby boomers was the least promoted, even though we all went to college and did good because the baby boomers said so. We were the least promoted and the least to get raises in history. Not just in recent history, but in all time. The Gen Xers and the millennials were the least hired, the least promoted, and the least to get raises in all of history. That's because the baby boomers kept those positions. Right now at the post office, 90 years old, 80 years old, they don't leave the post office. Who works at the post office? Predominantly black people. So what does that do to black employment? Is anybody listening? What does that do to black employment? If majority of blacks work for the federal government and they never leave, their kids go to jail via the crime bill. They vote for the crime bill. The baby boomers vote for the crime bill. The baby boomers smoke the crack. The baby boomers vote for the policies and the politicians to destroy their children and allow them to continue smoking the crack, be the pedophiles, and rape and pillage America. Now you have people who we think traditionally Asian people are supposed to be so nice and kind. We have Asian senior citizens, but they're also part of the baby boomer generation, still making silencers, weapons of mass destruction to kill people. You think you would retire? Still making silencers. It's unique to this baby boomer generation and the way they feel about capitalism and individualism. How they want to keep everything. If you grew up in the 80s, but y'all didn't grow up in the 80s, but they have this mean girl mentality from the 80s where there's this overconsumption, this individualism, this capitalistic thing going back to the 60s. This is the root of feminism. That's why feminism is destroying. This is the root of everything, the Lucky Charms community. That's why it's so separatist, and because it's coming from the baby boomers. The baby boomers and this hyper individualism, the divorce rate from the baby boomers, everything is coming from the baby boomers. They wanted to get divorced. They wanted to get a promotion. They didn't want their husband. They didn't want to be mothers. All of us saw what the baby boomers did, and we've been struggling for the past 20 years to make successful marriages, to make successful careers, and we keep getting shot down. I know my mother shot me down. I know a lot of men who got shot down by their baby boomer mother in their marriages, in their life, in their career. It's so much to unpack here. 30 people, at least over 1,000 families affected. Let's say each person got a family of 5. 18 people gone. Each person got a family of 5. 5 times 10 is 50 plus another 10. That's over 100 people. Who gonna pay for all the funerals, the financial impact, the emotional impact on this city? Does the city ever recover? We don't even talk about this in the regards of mass shooting. Does the city ever recover? Not just this family, not the individual families. Does the city ever recover? This is the largest mass shooting of the year. Not just in California, but the whole nation. Does the city ever? I say no. Demographically, financially, mentally, does the city ever recover? Somebody more litigious than me needs to do the research on whether or not and how, because we got so many examples of so many mass shootings in cities. What is the recovery for a city? Because look at where they had Chaz in the BLM protest. Have you guys seen the documentary? Hey, check this out. Have you guys seen the documentary of the cities post BLM and what those cities look like? Because I told you, don't fund the police was not just words. After BLM came through these cities, tore up the cities, burnt up the cities, left the cities, took the money and bought $1 million homes, they also backed policy with the money you gave them to get police to fund it in these cities. Remember, Chaz? Well, these cities are still destroyed. Some of these cities where their areas were taken over by the hyper liberals still are displaced and over rampant with gangs, unable to be policed, because logistically they still are destroyed, bombed out. It's like a war zone in American cities. Does anybody know this? Does anybody care? What's the fallout from a city that suffers from a mass shooting on this level? Because I tell you, those cities who dealt with those Black Lives Matter protests are not going to recover for the next 20, 30, 40 years, if ever. They may just die out as a city. You know, some cities just die out. You know how they got towns for sale? You know, like Vallejo went bankrupt, Flint went bankrupt. Do you think Flint or Vallejo ever recovers? I say no. Stockton, these places never recover. Similar as to when the demographics guy from the DOD told us about the Chinese ethnicity go away. These towns and cities go away, you guys. Flint never recovers. Have you heard about Flint doing better? You don't hear about Flint doing better. What will happen to Flint is everyone will move, and that's what they want to happen. And Flint will be this city that gets sold eventually. Remember, Black people be like, buy the block. We could buy the block. We could buy towns. What happens? How was that town once populated with people now with the ability for you to buy it for $1,000? A bank, a movie theater, a hospital, you buy the whole town. How is that possible? It's going to happen to Flint. It's going to happen to Vallejo. All these cities that suffer from mass shootings, do you think they recover? Look at what somebody in the chat. I know I got some intelligent people watching. Thank y'all for supporting me, man. Chaz, that was in Seattle. Where was that? Where was Chaz, you guys? Name some of these liberal bastions, you guys. Where was Chaz? You guys remember Chaz? I know I got some intelligent listeners. It was the city that was taken over by the liberals, the portion of the city that was taken over by the liberals during the Black Lives Matter protest. It was on the West Coast where what state is Seattle? Seattle is not a state, right? It's Washington. It's I can't remember, you guys. Y'all let me know where Chaz was in some of these cities that were like havens for Black Lives Matter during this time, where they just like were lawless and the police basically gave up. They destroyed police stations in some of these cities. These police stations haven't been rebuilt. They've reappropriated the fund. So what happens, man? Let's go to another video, bro. Let's go. Let's keep. As a matter of fact, I'll keep playing this video. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all know I get on my. If I get too long-winded in the chat, it's a podcast. That's why I do this for a living, because I like to talk. I get long-winded. I have a lot of opinions and a lot of knowledge. But if I go too long, you guys in the chat, let me know. Okay? Love you.
Studio told investigators that they were line dancing when the shooting started, and they thought it was fireworks in celebration of the Lunar New Year. It wasn't until people began dropping on the dance floor and others screamed and took cover that many realized they were being shot at. As for a motive, well, the rumor mill continues to run rampant today. From reports that Tran was a jealous and jilted lover to a man whose mental health had clearly deteriorated.
We're hearing those things too, but have not confirmed any of that information. It's part of what our investigators are diligently looking into.
Another part of the investigation, police in Hemet have confirmed that Tran visited their station recently to report he thought his family was trying to poison him. Now, in addition to the evidence that police say showed Tran was making those silencers, inside his mobile home, they also found another gun, a rifle that would make 3, hundreds of rounds of ammunitions, and multiple cell phones and computers. Now, we're told that Tran told police in Hemet he was going to return with evidence that his family was trying to poison him, but apparently he never did. We learned that he's been divorced for years, and so far no one knows of any children he may have, so it's unclear exactly what family members he was referring to when he made that claim. The investigation continues. We'll send it back to you.
Gigi, thank you. We are also hearing from the man who disarmed that Monterey Park shooter, the man who many are calling a hero. Brandon Say was at the Lili Ballroom and studio when the shooter walked in with his gun. He had just come from the first dance studio, and Say fought with him and was able to wrestle the gun away. Authorities say that brave move saved many more lives. But Brandon says he doesn't want to make this tragedy about himself.
I want everyone to focus on the victims of this tragic incident, not to draw too much attention to myself. I want everyone to have the attention needed during this incident.
I mean, I've known him my whole life. I'm just as shocked as everyone. I'm just happy that he's alive.
When I received the call, I didn't know it was so serious. I thought we just got held up. And the first thing I did was I asked whether Brandon was okay. And he said, my daughter said, yeah, he's fine.
Brandon says when he saw the suspect, he had a look that indicated he was looking to hurt people.
Governor Newsom was meeting with victims from the Monterey Park shooting when he found out there had been another mass shooting in California, this time in the city of Half Moon Bay near San Francisco. It happened in two separate shootings yesterday afternoon, one at a farm, another at a trucking company about 2 miles away. Police arrested the suspect about 2 hours later. He's identified as 67-year-old Chun-Li Zhao. And this is video of the takedown. I mean, you can see police arresting the suspect there. Police say a semi-automatic handgun was used in the shootings and was located in Zhao's car. Here's our first look at the suspect in these shootings, Chun-Li Zhao. Police have yet to determine the motives behind the shootings.
And that's where we're going to turn our attention right now. You can see there is going to be a news conference in just moments on the update.
Yeah, Tracy, I was thinking the same thing, and it seems like they kind of knew it. Because I've heard that too. I've worked in healthcare. I'm not going to bring up my healthcare experience, but what I'll say is I've heard, and I have personal, I'll just say intimate experience. My late grandfather, before he passed away, he lived with me and my mother, and we took care of him. And my grandfather called the police on me and my mother, and he said similar things. So this is one of the things that's associated with dementia. So when Tracy says mental health issues, yeah, Tracy, I think so. I think so. I think so too. That definitely sounds familiar. When you talking about, they're trying to kill me, but these individuals don't even live, are not even alive anymore, right? He's having flashbacks and different issues, like, and it sounds like somebody knew he needed help, right? Because it sounds like he may have flashed out on these individuals thinking they were people who not even here anymore. He might have thought he was killing his daughter or his wife, and they're not even here anymore, It's sad, man. Okay, it was Seattle, Washington. Okay, that's where Chaz was. That's where Chaz was. Okay, so let's go. Let's see about the and we've been talking about this mental health crisis that's going on, man. And it seems like it's being ignored.
There in the Northern California shootings of Half Moon Bay, 7 killed, and as you just heard, the suspect there in custody. I now want to turn the attention to KTVU Fox 2 with their latest on the shooting that happened yesterday.
Community of Half Moon Bay.
Suspect is now in custody after 7 people were killed in 2 separate locations yesterday afternoon. Their bodies were found at a mushroom farm and nursery off Highway 92, another farming business nearby on Highway 1.
The suspected gunman has been identified as 67-year-old Chun-Li Zhao of Half Moon Bay. He was taken into custody shortly after the mass shooting when his car was spotted in the parking lot of the sheriff's substation in Half Moon Bay.
Zhao is believed to have acted
Now I want to turn the attention to KTVU Fox 2 with
another farming business nearby.
Okay, I want to unpack this with everyone here. You guys let me know what you think. Let's discuss this. We have the opportunity. You know, hindsight is 2020. We're the internet reporters. Thank everybody for watching and supporting. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Hook a brother up. We have two separate locations. Now, I'm in the Bay Area. I talked to you earlier about this Highway 1, right? This Highway 1 here. This is most of the time, this is a one-lane highway. It's beautiful, but it's you know, we would be the word, we would have apprehension, you know, I don't use that other word when we were kids going down this road. So I just want to point out the fact the distance between these events on the map, it looks close, but Tracy, you know, Tracy is familiar with this section of Northern California. Anybody familiar? These are not close together. It's not easy to get. If you notice, there's not a lot of roads in between. You see that? This is all coastline here. You fall off. You could fall off. If anybody's been on this road before, you can fall off. It's all coastline right there. That's what makes it so beautiful. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So there's not a lot of other roads here. So my question is, if you look closely, if you see there's if you can you see my cursor, you guys? Can you see my cursor? Because okay, let me move this banner. Let me move this banner. Move this banner. I'll move that ticker too. Let me move that ticker. Okay, now we're looking at this together. Now I want you to look at the bottom underneath where it says 3 people killed, and then look at the highways. You see all that green? Those are mountainous areas, no cars. That's cliff area. You can't drive there. You can't drive here. You can't drive. But if you notice, there's a metropolis here. You know, at the highway, you're going on the cliffs. You're driving on some of the most beautiful highway ever created. So you're driving along the cliff. Down here is the shore, the Pacific coast. You got to go down there, but there's no highway down there. You're driving along Highway 1, beautiful drive, right? There's no, you can't even exit. You can't do anything. It's like Italy. It's this one lane, beautiful highway. You can't do shit until it opens up into the metropolis, right? You get out of the mountains. You're driving through the mountains. They cut this road. Remember Donner Pass and all those people who passed away? You're driving through the mountains, and then you open up into a metropolis. That's one. Okay, y'all understand what I'm saying? That's one of the things why people didn't like to go to Half Moon Bay, because the whole drive you on Highway 1 on this drive where you overlooking the cliff, and either you like it, either you love it or you hate it. And then it opens up into a small little city in the mountains, right? But then he went from this little area here, and then he drove back up this one lane highway. Takes a minute to do it because it's a one lane highway. You can't drive that fast because it's curves, right? It's dangerous. And then up into another metropolis here, and that's where he's arrested in the main downtown, all the way over here, and then does the other crime. What was going on in the city? Why wasn't any, you know what I'm saying? What was, like, the response times? Like, I think this has something to do with some of the things we talked about with the defunding the police and the liberals here in California, and the ability to police to react. Because I would hope and suspect that this is not a light thing to take lightly. Oh, some kids broke into a car on this side of town, and you know, perfect. It's kind of unfair for you to expect us to understand. Blah blah blah. No, this is a triple homicide. This is a triple homicide that takes place here. There should have been cameras. There should have been something that took place. So he was able to commit a triple homicide and then travel throughout this precarious highway and do a quadruple homicide before turning himself in. Now, remember, they did not find him. They did not find him. He turned himself in. Both of these elderly gentlemen, elderly Asian men, 67 and 70 years old, none of them were apprehended by police. That is so much to unpack here. that you need to be concerned about as a citizen living in 2023. They did not apprehend them. They did not know anything that took place. These men were able to nearly murder 30 as senior citizens. Police can't track 70-year-old men and let them kill 30 people and don't catch them. But that's not what we're going to talk about. First thing Gavin Newsom said was Democratic talking point. Did y'all see me roast Uncle Murder? I roasted Uncle Murder, bitch ass. I said Uncle Murder is a hip hop gangster rap feminist. He's the first hip hop. He signed the 50 Cent label, and he's as a feminist. The hip hoppers have been co-opted by the DNC. Soon, the only thing Gavin Newsom could go to is DNC talking points. These liberal Democratic talking points haven't served us well. This is the result of the liberals. These are both baby boomer, I bet you, Democratic liberals who committed these murders in Democratic liberal cities. Half Moon Bay is a beautiful city, but it's blue, blue, blue. And look what happens. And Gavin Newsom doesn't speak to mental health. Gavin Newsom doesn't speak to response time from police officers, to how these elderly people were able to nearly kill 30 Californians. No, he goes right to talking points and DNC platform. That's why I got on Uncle Murder when he said what he said about Clarence Thomas' decision and women's rights and all this shit. It came straight. I don't even know if Uncle Murder knows that he's saying regurgitating DNC platform talking points. I know Gavin Newsom knows. Gavin Newsom is a politician, but Uncle Murder's supposed to be a gangster rapper. Is Uncle Murder now a politician running for? Y'all better watch out what's going on in 2023, where you got rappers who's supposed to be gangsters who should be getting charged with a RICO, instead making songs like Vax That Thing Up, No Voting, No Vucking, and talking about how can I say this? Family planning. Is that a good way to put it? So I don't get messed with. Discussing family planning from a Democratic liberal vantage point, because Uncle Murder, there's both sides to the issue. Uncle Murder, in case you didn't know, is not just one side. It's not just one side to the issue, Uncle Murder. And you, as a gangster rapper from the inner city community affected by Planned Parenthood, affected by family planning by the Democrats, you gonna make a song siding with the Democrats, siding with Planned Parenthood, siding with Margaret Singer. You're supposed to be from New York. You're supposed to know about Dr. York. You're supposed to know about the 5%ers. You're supposed to know about the math today, Uncle Murder. You're supposed to know about today's math, Uncle Murder. And you put out a song supporting Planned Parenthood. Gavin Newsom is in the hospital dealing with one shooting from a senior citizen, Asian American, baby boomer, 20 people dead. 20 people shot. And then he get a phone call about another shooting. And only thing that Gavin Newsom could say is, we need more laws. Think about the politicians that we have. You guys need to have apprehension about the country that you live in. That's what we need. We need more laws. When has more laws and legislation fixed anything? When I grew up with people from the 1950s who believed the Eisenhower speech, who believed in small government. You know what I'm saying? And the military industrial complex, that speech that Eisenhower gave, and all these different things that are so big, too big to fail. So we want more laws, Gavin Newsom. More laws fix this. More laws help this. I don't think we this state is the most litigious state. Elon Musk built his we lost the Tesla plant. We lost the Tesla plant because this state is the most litigious state. Elon Musk built this plant in Texas. He said if he would have built it in California, he would have most definitely got sued, and it would have took him 2 years to get the permits, 18 months. The plant is already built, and there's employees. My son could have been working at that plant. Gavin Newsom said we wasn't going to lose the plant. But this, Gavin Newsom, this is why we lost the Tesla plant. Because something like this happens, and the first thing you want to speak to It's DNC Democratic talking points about guns. You want to take Americans are not giving up their guns. So it's almost like you don't care about the shooting victims. Because the Second Amendment, you're not going to change the Constitution. You're not going to change Americans who own the most guns in the globe. They're not giving up their guns. Americans are not giving up their rights to guns. So if Americans are not going to give up their guns, and we know this, and not going to give up their rights, we shouldn't want them as politicians, citizens, people with knowledge to give up rights. We don't never want, because if you give up one, they're never going to stop. So we're not giving up no rights. Why would you want Americans to do something like that, Gavin Newsom? It doesn't fix the problem. More laws and giving up. Think about what the proposal is from the Democrats. More laws, more restraints, more draconianism, more laws, and then giving up rights. Just socialism. Just y'all got to pay attention, man. That's why people be like, are these mass shootings real? Because the result is so detrimental to the American citizen. Let's go back to the video. My wife is in the chat. Two beautiful ladies who love me. I got Tracy, Mrs. Perfect Timing, doing research for me, supporting No Guarantees. Thank these beautiful ladies for supporting me. I'm an extremely blessed individual. I don't take for granted my blessings. It's you know, I just want to say thank you. That's all I could say. Sometimes I'll be at a loss of words, but I'm so appreciative. Let's go back to the video.
By on Highway 1.
The suspected gunman has been identified as 67-year-old Chung Lee Zhao of Half Moon Bay. He was taken into custody shortly after the mass shooting when his car was spotted in the parking lot of the sheriff's substation in Half Moon Bay.
Zhao is believed to have acted alone, and there is no further threat to this community.
Investigators believe Zhao worked at one of the farms where the shooting took place, but so far there is no word of any possible motive.
We'll turn to KTVU's James Torres to begin our coverage during this 9 o'clock hour. James is at one of the two shooting scenes where volunteers are working to help a community, James, that is grieving and in shock.
Yeah, Cassia, as you can imagine, that would take a lot of work here. Many of these volunteers hoping to give these people just a little bit of comfort and hope in their time of probably one of the worst days and phone calls that they'll ever receive in their lifetime here. People who actually work at this mushroom farm here. Here's where we're standing, just along Highway 92. This is the first of two shooting scenes from yesterday afternoon. People who work here, they also live here, but they weren't able to stay here last night, and this is why. You can see the sheriff's office deputies that are blocking off some of the roadway here. This roadway takes you down over to that mushroom farm here, and because it is still very much an active investigation and an active scene, people who call this place home, and we're talking about workers with their families who call this place home, were not able to stay here last night. They were originally relocated to a family reunification center, and then we've learned from the city of Half Moon Bay that very late last night they were taken over to hotels to spend the night. This place, this mushroom farm, is also where police say that gunman, 67-year-old Chung Lee Zhao, shot 5 people. 4 of those victims found dead here at the scene. After that, police say Zhao went over to a second scene about 3 miles away from where we are. That's where Zhao was accused of killing 3 more people. And police tell us all of those victims are of either Hispanic or Asian descent, each of them farm workers as well. In order to get more information for their investigation, detectives say they had to bring in translators to help speak to.
So everybody is ESL, and everybody were farm workers. ESL is English as a second language, and everybody was farm workers. This was cold. This was the. You know what? You know what bothers me, because I'm a worker bee. My family, we're worker bees. Some of us are born into affluence and high up, you know. But I'm a worker. I've been a worker my whole life. I admired hard work. I saw my uncles and my mother work hard and build a good life from hard work. That's why I admire the Hispanic and Asian community. because I come from a hard-working family. Blue collar, that's the term I'm looking for. A blue collar family, hard-working blue collar family in the major cities. So if you're a hardworking blue collar family in Los Angeles, Chicago, Detroit, during these times in America, you did really well being a hardworking blue worker. You could have a good life, a good retirement. And I came from them type of stock of people. So these people to hurt each other, right? These are these blue collar, like rural farmers, man. These are the people, the stalk, the salt of the earth. You know, without these people, did you know in Central Valley of California that 90% of the world's greens are grown here? It's anywhere from 70 to 90%. All of that's why when you heard about the kale and the spinach and the E. coli in in the Central California, it was global news. It was on CNN. It was on the New York Stock Exchange, because we grow all the greens for the entire globe. When the demographic guy is talking about the United States will be okay as far as food, it's because of California. Places like California and South America, California, Chile, Brazil, like those countries he mentioned on the Pacific coast, we grow everything. So it's very sad and somber that these farmers are the one dealing with the brunt of the gun crisis, the mental health crisis, the inflation. Because think about what they're dealing with. If you know about this community, and I know the people listening to me are touched by this, because if you black, if you brown, and in San Francisco Bay Area, it's black and brown. You got migrant workers in your family. You know how hard they work. You know how little they're paid. So I know inflation has been impacting this community greatly, right? So they may have to do other things to supplement their income, to create multiple streams of income. And we don't know what's behind this. And again, elderly man in a migrant farmer community, ESL, English as a second language. Let's go back to the tape.
Some of those witnesses, those family members, the sheriff of San Mateo County saying the shooting happened right when kids were leaving for school for the day. And it's likely some saw the deadly shooting. The high school is not too far from where this first scene is. And I just got off the phone with the school district just a few moments ago. They say they are planning to have grief counselors and resources, extra resources available for students who might have been affected. We also spoke to volunteers for the group ALAS, an organization specializing in helping Latin Americans during a disaster or a tragic event like this shooting.
An emergency happens on the coast. With the authority of the director, Belinda, we come out and we send a message to the community of what is needed. So it can be toiletries, Christmas gifts, you name it. So tonight what we did is we sent the message out that we're in need of warm blankets and hot food and snacks for the children.
And I spoke to that volunteer again this morning. She tells me the mission today is to garner enough funds, donations, even gift cards. They say their mission is to essentially make sure that each of these family members, each of those people who are dealing with this tragedy, have enough that can take care of them for at least the remainder of this week. We also heard from the town's vice mayor, who says he has been receiving text messages from people who live here, each of them asking him if he might know any information about their loved ones who potentially might have been involved in this shooting, possibly as victims as well. We're hearing from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. They say they are still working to ID some of these people, some of those victims. They are expected to have a news conference any minute now, giving us some sort of update. We'll let you know what that happens, when that happens, and what that looks like. City leaders had that reunification center open as of last night. They say that's going to be a place where people can go to get some resources, additional counseling, things that might just help them better understand what is going on with the situation, give them more information that they need. Of course, this is going to be a story that's going to continue to develop all morning long for the next couple days as well. And as soon as we have those updates, we will bring them to you as soon as we can. For now, we're live this morning in Half Moon Bay. I'm James Torres, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
That was just some of the KTVU coverage there that we bring to you right here on Live Now from Fox. Any moment right now, an update to that mass shooting that happened yesterday in Half Moon Bay. We'll bring it to you as soon as it happens. Let's take a quick 2-minute break here while we have it right here on Live Now from Fox.
Workers. The coroner's office is still working on identification of the victims and notifications of next of kin. As some of these victims were members of our migrant community, this represents a unique challenge when it comes to notifications and identifications of next of kin. All of the evidence we have points to this being the instance of workplace violence. The Mounted Mushroom Farm, the first location, is where the subject was employed. I'd like to hand it off to now our District Attorney, Steve Wagstaff.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning. I'm Steve Wagstaff. I'm the District Attorney. And the case, my job now is to inform you where the case will go. The Sheriff's Office is submitting the case to us today. We will review it. The arraignment will not be this afternoon, as was first put out. It will be tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 here in this building, courtroom 4A, the custody courtroom. The charges have not yet been determined because until we review all of the information, we will make that decision later today or tomorrow morning. And again, the charges obviously involve the homicides involved, as the sheriff just said. I want to make a specific reference to the fact that I have been briefed on the sheriff's office investigation of this case. And cases like this, we've never had one in this county of this many deaths at one scene or one time. And so it was a very hectic scene. The sheriff's office did a magnificent job investigating this case. I'm very proud to have the sheriff's office as our colleagues and Sheriff Corpus as my colleague. The work was done extraordinarily well. But again, in terms of precise detail, we're not going to be giving out a lot of precise detail on what was said. This is a case that is at the beginning stage. It has a long road to travel over the coming months and years. And to that extent, we don't want to try it out in the public eye, but instead, we will ultimately handle this case in one of the courtrooms in that building. So now I'll turn it back for any questions that may exist for us.
Good morning. My name is Eamon Allen. I'm the Sheriff's PIO, and I'll take any questions now.
2 questions over here. One, I couldn't quite hear, did you say purchased illegally or legally?
It was a legally purchased firearm and owned.
And the second question, do you have evidence that the suspect was targeting these specific individuals?
We're not releasing that information at this time.
What kind of gun?
It was a semi-automatic handgun. As far as make and model, we're not releasing that.
Can you describe the circumstances under which you've taken into custody? Surrender to you?
So he did not actively surrender to us. He was located in his vehicle in the parking lot of the Half Moon Bay substation. One of our deputies located the vehicle there and recognized it from the information we had from the scene. At that point, he started giving the subject commands. The subject was still seated in the vehicle. The subject exited the vehicle and was taken into custody without incident.
Did you identify them prior to spotting them? Did you know who you were looking for, or did you just know the vehicle?
We did. We had the suspect information as well as suspect vehicle information.
So it's understanding that he's been cooperating with the investigation and giving the information. Can you tell us anything about a motive for this massacre?
All the evidence we have right now points to a workplace violence incident.
Workplace violence.
Yes.
What was he upset about?
We're not releasing that information this time.
What else can you tell us about victims? Anything else that you can share about victims?
So we're still working on with the coroner's office on notifications of the victims' families. So we're not releasing specific identifying information of the victims. But like the sheriff said, they were all adults, 7 males, 1 female, and a mixture of Asian and Hispanic victims.
Can you tell how many Latinos and how many Asians?
I'm sorry, I don't have that specific information at this time.
Were all of the victims specifically targeted, or was it like a random?
Again, we're not releasing that information at this time.
Was the female one with that, or she was in the hospital?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Can you tell us if, a little bit about his background? Anything that would have given you any kind of information that he would actually do this? Does he have any prior convictions?
So as far as his criminal history, we're not releasing that information. I will say that there were no specific indicators that would have led us to believe that he was capable of something like this, and he was not known to us or to have any sort of, again, indicators that may have led us to believe that this was something he might have done. We're not releasing any information as related to his status like that. I don't have the specifics as that for that. We're not releasing that information at this time. I'm sorry? We don't have any information that they were witnesses to the incident. We know these farms, there is a mixture of folks who work there as well as reside there. And we do know that there were some children in the vicinity, but as far as being specific witnesses to it, we don't have that information.
Did the suspect live on the farm as well?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
The mayor of Half Moon Bay said in an interview this morning that a lot of these farm workers experience a lot of stress, anxiety, because of work conditions, living conditions. Do you know what role, if any, that might have played?
As far as what led to this specific incident, I don't have any information like that. I will say that the coast has experienced its share of challenges over the last few weeks, specifically as it relates to all the incredible weather we've had. There's been flooding, there's been people out of work. So the coast has certainly had its share of challenges recently, and this just adds to that stress.
Have you been able to do a search for the farm at all? Have you found any other weapons?
I'm sorry, we're not releasing that information right now. So I'll take maybe a couple more questions. I don't have that information for you right now. I'm sorry. Last one. All right. Thank you very much. Sheriff, do you have anything to add?
As we gain more developments, we will be apprising you of the information. Again, I just wanted to give my condolences to the victims, the families, the coworkers, and the coastal community who is suffering gravely. And we'll be working together as a county to heal. Thank you.
That was the update there from officials. And just to reiterate that the arraignment there for the suspect will happen to.
Tough job, man. That is a tough job. What's up? Make this go viral, Miss V in the building. Thank you for stopping in. Make sure you hit the like. Shout me out when you do your live stream. Let your people know to come subscribe and hang out with your boy, Perfect Timing Podcast. I got the livest show on YouTube. It really can't be touched. Hard job, man. I have police officers and sheriffs in my family. A lot of people, I take offense to a lot of things that some of these content creators say, like academics, when he says black culture is crime culture, when referring to the Atlanta case, when everybody in the courtroom is black, the lawyers on the defense and the prosecution, the judge, how could black culture be crime culture? Academics don't know what he's talking about. Check this out, man. He said, remember we were just asking, can a city recover from a mass shooting? The district attorney was like flustered during the interview, and he wanted to make sure that people knew the indictment wasn't coming today, it's coming tomorrow, and we've never dealt with anything like this before. This city has never dealt with anything, no shooting like this on this level. I said to you this morning before we listened to that interview that this was the largest mass shooting of the nation. We already at almost 3,000 people injured from guns this year in America and 39 mass shootings this year in America. Of those shootings in California, we have the largest mass shooting thus far. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. Their department when we talk about the funding and they don't have the bandwidth. Do you understand? Sometimes I'll be using terms, I'm older dude, so I assume everybody has the same understanding in terms of I do. Do you understand what I mean by bandwidth? I'm a project manager by trade. I know logistics, like the back of my hand. So when I say bandwidth, I mean the number of employees with the ability to do the task. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have enough employees to handle 11 murders at one time. In 2023, the statistic was from 2023. We put it up earlier. They don't have enough employees to handle 11 murders at one time. So when I say they don't have the bandwidth, it means they don't have enough employees to deal with it. That it's going to take them some additional time to overcompensate for the fact that we're not prepared for the America. I was dealing with the post office, right? And the post office was saying, we not prepared for the new America. The post office said the world changed a few years ago and everybody does drop shipping now. Now, the post office for the past 100 years normally delivered letters. Now, everything that's coming to the post office is a box, but the post office doesn't have the bandwidth, i.e., the post office doesn't have the machines and the equipment like FedEx and UPS who deal with boxes. A lot of people don't know this. The government is not prepared. Your local city is not prepared for the America that's coming, for Apple Pay, for Web 3.0, for the digital currency. They're not prepared. This man was completely flabbergasted with the deal with 11 murders at one time. The coroner's office probably has one employee. Everybody gonna have to overcompensate. And this is the rule of the day. It's like in 2023, it's almost like, okay, if this was 1993, you could empathize with them. But in 2023, you kind of is like, you know what? You should be prepared because we live in the country of mass shootings. We live in the country you live in California. We live in the country. It doesn't matter if you're in a liberal bastion, if you think you're protected by your blue buffer. You should be prepared for mass shootings. Columbine took place in the 90s. Every municipality should be prepared. But if he was able to commit a triple homicide and then travel 3 miles of the most precarious highway in the country, Highway 1, Pacific Coast Highway, they say 3 miles like it's just normal 3 miles, like he just went down the street. He didn't go just down the street. He didn't go just down the street. He went 3 miles on the most precarious highway in the country, Highway 1, and committed a quadruple homicide. He went from a triple homicide to a quadruple homicide. And then they had the nerve to say that he didn't turn himself in. Even though he's sitting in his car at the sheriff's office, because they had to tell him to get out of the car, they want to take credit for the arrest. They want to take credit for the arrest. No guarantees. Enjoyed the commentary and discussion. Blessing and peace. Thank you, Perfect. No guarantees. Thank you for coming through, brother. Thank you for supporting, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Bless you. May you have a blessed day. Blessing to you and yours, and a covering over you and yours, bro. Thank you. Shit, it mean everything to a YouTuber. One person watching, and a YouTuber is excited. Trust me, I know I'll be watching YouTube. I'll be seeing the people that's growing they channel and they be going live every day and they don't be having no viewers. I be wanting to help them, but you know everybody don't want help. But I be seeing them go live consistently every day and don't have no viewers. Y'all don't know, one person watching means everything to a YouTuber. Everything. So, man, thank you, bro. Thank everybody who's watched today and supported. Hit the like button. It's about that time, lunchtime. I'm going to get up out of here with y'all because I want to come back and do another topic. So I'm going to get up out of here with y'all and we're going to come back and do another topic. Y'all have a good day, man. Y'all be blessed. Salute.